think let's not wait because yesterday I had to wind up. I had to wind up early. It was my mistake. Anyways, today what we have in here is like I'll be not focusing on machine learning. My focus here today is on LoRa IoT kit. So last day you have seen the LoRa IoT kit which was displayed here. So we have deployed it at different locations. So we'll be displaying that in real time. And one real-time face identification and the attendance system will be also displaying it in another 20 minutes of the time. Now, uh, which kind of cloud, or I mean, if there is any cloud which was created in your college, and yesterday I had given a small assignment to create a ThinkSpeak account. How many of you are able to do it? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll look into like how exactly you'll be able to write the data into cloud from a sensor. It might be 8266, that's a Wi-Fi module, or it might be a temperature humidity sensor connected to an Arduino board, and then you write the data into cloud. Or it might be your Android phone where you can directly enter the API keys and then write the data into the cloud. So there are different methods which you can do in. Now, what I have here today is like we had discussed a lot about IoT from last 2 days, like things which are getting connected to internet is nothing but your IoT. I'll not brief more on it. The existing IoT, basically you can see that the cloud is directly connected to the sensors. So directly you can do that. It is a simple example for your what is called as your mobile phone. Cloud, and there is a gateway. That means there are a lot of sensors which are out there, and using something called as gateways. So you'll be able to connect something called as sensors to different cloud networks. That's also possible. That is called as gateway integration pattern. Then there is cloud integration pattern. Basically, you have IoT devices from, say, it might be Watson, IoT, or Azure. So different kinds of clouds are there where you can write your data. The emerging technology, that is, this is one which we are focusing in, is here. That means I have something called as Think Cloud, and there is something called as Think Gateway. So this framework, the entire framework would be deployed. I mean, it's already deployed. From morning, we were able to deploy it. So how does this emerging technology would look like? So that would be focus during this particular session. Now, when you look into LoRa, please make a note of these things. LoRa stands for long range, okay? Long range communication protocol. So this is one of the latest IoT term, which I can say, so which has been widely used. So the range it goes up to somewhere around 3 kilometers to 7 kilometers. So somewhere in this campus, we have already placed a node. From that node, we'll be real time receiving the data to the hall here, and we'll be displaying the data. The second thing is like you have low power consumption. So if you have a battery, it lasts for almost around 2 years. And the thing is like there is a secured communication because you see a lot of hackers trying to hack the IoT devices. There is a encryption model also which is out there. Then whatever platforms we are demonstrating is basically open source, and it can be easily accessed through internet. So that's what we'll be covering up in another 15 to 20 minutes. Now when you look into the long range, it can be used for underwater communication. So Dr. Mrinal from Reva University, she has worked a lot on this underwater communication. She has executed a lot of projects in a similar fashion for DRDO. So that's one of the college which you can look into. When you look into identifying the location using your nodes only on your Google map, like yesterday we were able to track aeroplanes, right? So today we'll be tracking where exactly the nodes is placed. Okay, so that's one of the things which we'll be doing in. And it can be for something called as multi-usage also. So I can have one gateway and connect different kinds of node. Say for example, my node which I'm using is a microcontroller. How many ports does your microcontroller have? It might be a normal 8051. You have studied microcontroller? Yes, how many ports does it have? I generally have the tendency, whenever the professor used to ask questions, I used to look down, seriously writing something, okay? There's no internal marks as such. Anyways, like they'll be having 4 ports, okay? Now, in that one will be used for your timer. I can connect 3 sensors. Why I'm talking about this is basically, if you look into latest vehicles, okay, like you might have studied across model-based design or different kinds of things, like state flow. Why these things are being taught is basically, you might have observed one common feature, like you not, I mean, a engineer need not analyze this, but when you look into any car manufacturing company, okay, so every year you see at least one model coming out. That means there is a term called as time to market, right? So everyone would be working in that area to reduce the time to market, right? So when you consider a normal automotive currently which is there in the market, almost around 82 microcontrollers are there in a single car. If I consider 82 into somewhere around 3 sensors to it, you count the number of sensors connected and that data going into the cloud. Can anyone tell me why exactly these sensors data is important, why this microcontroller data is important? Say I've taken a car, okay, and within 1 month there is some problem in the car, right? So it might be the wiper which is not working precisely. So what happens is I go to the service station and say, see boss, I've taken the car 1 month back and there is problem. So what do? It's like they will be rectifying it and giving to you, but at the same time they collect that data and check in which factory this car was manufactured. Okay, so once the car is manufactured, they'll check in which batch it was manufactured. Once the batch has been checked, check that or analyze the data in such a way that during this batch, how many cars were manufactured? Are the cars facing the same problem? They analyze this. So these kind of analysis comes in this area. We call it as multi-usage. Okay, so multi-usage, basically this depends on something called as, it requires something called as public network. So we'll be looking into how exactly public network would look like. And the last thing is, when you are using LoRa, they are basically low cost. Okay, so low cost devices which would be generally used in. Now this is how the LoRa communication would look like. So this model you have already seen in. Now I have something called as an IoT server, that's nothing but your cloud. I have a gateway, that's your LoRa gateway, and there are something called as LoRa nodes. You can see that there is a transmitter which is being placed here. It can be a transducer. So in one of the device, we have a transmitter as well as a receiver. Okay, so we do something called as predictive analysis and all. At that case, we have a transmitter and a receiver. So this would how exactly your sensors, it might be temperature, humidity, heat sensors, or GPS, Zigbee models, or your actuators can be connected to this node. That's nothing but your normal microcontroller. And from this antenna, you will be transmitting the data to this particular cloud. That's a simple architecture of an what is called as LoRa-based IoT communication. Now, I have a small video to show here. So, how exactly we configure this? So when you go into Think Network, there will be something called as gateway. Okay, so once you go inside this particular gateway, okay, so you might have created an account for ThinkSpeak. I'm showing it with respect to Think Network. We'll go into ThinkSpeak also later. So when I come inside the gateway, you can see that there is something called as frequency plan. Our gateway can be connected to any frequency range in the world. So initially what I do is I'll go and change the frequency range here. Okay, so I'll go here. Basically this is the frequency range which is available in Europe. So I go and change this frequency, and at the same time you can see that my gateway is it's showing the status as it is being connected. Okay, so after that you can see there will be something called as gateway key also. So to access that particular gateway, I require a key or an address to it, so that gateway key also has to be updated. Now if I go further here, like I can see this is your Arduino IDE. Okay, so I can see the status here, it is showing that it is being connected. So once I program my Arduino, I think this is coming. Okay, so you can see I'll be mentioning whatever that gateway key was there. I'll be mentioning the gateway key and the data here. So the device ID, so whatever the device ID is there, and the network session key and the app session key. We call it as API keys. Basically these are the keys which help you to write the data into the cloud. So I go and make the changes in this particular program there and then upload the data. So I'll just go forward. Okay, so once the data, you can see that I can go here and it is showing me that the data, okay, is being received from my nodes. Now if you can see that it is showing the time duration, but you can see the values are in terms of some values, like it is in terms of some bits. But initially if I want to display, my intention here was to display what is called as your temperature and humidity. For that I'll be having something called as payload format, okay, where my bit values are getting converted into your equivalent temperature and humidity. I go into something called as the devices here, okay, and then I go into what is called as payload format here. On the right column there will be something called as payload format. I have to just go and change the corresponding details there. So I have to just paste this, okay. So once this has been pasted, again I have to come back and validate that, and then go and check the corresponding data which has been received in. So now your bit values would be converted to the equivalent value of your temperature and humidity. So now you can see here, like I'll go into the data section again. You can see it is the DHT sensor which is being connected in. You can see it started out pointing out the corresponding humidity. So it is somewhere around 50 and the corresponding temperature is somewhere around 24. So these are few of the steps which we generally do in when you are working with your LoRa based IoT. Now there is one more thing, please make a note of this. We have something called as, you can link it with something called as ThinkSpeak, or to send this data into your mobile phone on an app, okay. So that also we were able to achieve. Go into UBI dot. So basically this is one of the portal which will give you a 30 days trial. Basically students who are doing project and you want to come up with a waste management data analysis on an app. So you can go here and you can create an account. So once you create an account, you'll be able to log in. Once you log in into the account, you can see that it has an integration with respect to your Think network. So from your Think network, you are sending the data into what is called as your app. Say for example, after you want to see the data in your mobile phone, okay. Say I am in my home and I want to turn on the AC or turn off the AC, okay. So I can just send a message from here. So that's where I'll be doing the integration. So this is the same device ID which I had initially created in. I just go and click on that. It gives me the corresponding humidity, temperature, and basically you can see it is getting updated and it says few seconds ago. So as a designer, you can also create or something called as a time constraint or a time bound at every this time interval. The data has to be updated. You can do that. Followed by that, you can see the real-time data in terms of an analysis, or you can create your own dashboards, like I was talking about creating graphs and visualizing the graphs, okay. So I can go here and click on the data and say add dashboard. So when you click on this dashboard, there are different icons which pop out, like you can mention the variable name there. So you can give your own variable name. So if you are measuring temperature, you can give it as temperature, or if you are measuring using it through a sensor, you can mention the name of the sensor. See into that, it's unique. Once that has been done, you can see it pops out the dashboard. You can just go and click on this plus icon. So once you click on this plus icon, it will show you like whether you are displaying battery or you want to display it in terms of a graph, you want a thermometer, or it's the tank water measurement you are doing in. So whatever data you want to display in, you can just go and click on that particular data there. So what I'll do is I'll go and click on thermometer there, and once that has been displayed, and then say add. You can see the data pops out like this. So on real time, your temperature is varying there, okay. So what was the one more parameter we were measuring in? Yes, right. So I'll go again to the variables there and I'll select what is called as humidity and then say okay. Again go back to the dashboard there. You can see I have added up a gauge there. So on real time, you can, if you just log in into that account through your mobile phone, on real time you can measure the temperature and pressure on a graph on your mobile phone. You can do that. And at the same time, like if the temperature reaches to some level, you can actually visualize that in terms of a graph and do the data analysis also. Followed by that, if I go further, I can link it to something called as, if the temperature is not being measured between certain time range, you have to send me a Twitter message stating that your device has been turned off by someone. So such kind of analysis also can be created in on real time, and that's it with respect to this. That's with respect to the LoRa communication. Any clarifications in this regard? I think I've gone in depth, and this data with respect to the video also will be shared by the coordinators to you. Only the PPTs I'll not be able to share, but the source code also for whatever the DHT sensor which was created for the college conference would be shared. Now, having said so, where exactly it can be used in? We are closely working with most of the smart cities. Anyone who wants to see videos associated to this, we can show you. We are able to monitor temperature, humidity, pressure. At the same time, the lighting monitoring system or street light monitoring system with different light intensity also we will be able to achieve. Smart parking system. So for example, we have placed some gypsum sensors here. So whenever there is a car which has been parked, it says that this place has been occupied. And wherever there is no car available there, so that particular space, it will show empty and tell what is called as the security to inform the concerned to go and park at the places where there is parking space available. So these things are, we are closely working with two different vendors. One is for Mangalore, another is for Davangere. So followed by that, in Tamil Nadu, we were able to do what is called as smart water management system and environmental monitoring system. So these two I'll be able to show you in another 15 minutes. The same applications can be applied to home security, emergency, smart industry, animal tracking, and so on. Followed by this, the application, basically this LoRa, can be used for smart medical also. So this is one of the area we are working with BNMIT. So this is one of the area where most of you can take up your projects, because you can see a lot of startups coming up with new smart medical devices. Now, when you look into this device here, so we can see that there is water inlet which has been let into the farms, and it has been remotely monitored by farmers, and they have not done their engineering. So they have an app through which they send a SMS, the motor automatically turns on, okay, and the motor automatically can be turned off. It also has sprinkler systems which have been connected with the drip irrigation systems attached to it. So as a farmer, he can use that app and he can monitor different things. He can also measure parameters like what is the wetness content of the soil, okay, and at what time interval he has to turn on the motor. Such kind of analysis is being done. This is one of the deployments which we were able to do. Now coming down to the deployment, this was one of the deployment which we were able to do. I'll just switch for a while and just show you what exactly we did in. So I'm not an aerospace engineer, but I think sir would be the right person who can explain this. I think voice. Okay. So you can see that there is a device through which they are blowing the wind through that particular thing. That's your low speed sound wind tunnel through which they are sending the data, and there is a blow of wind across that tunnel. So I'll just forward it, and that's the values where you'll be using the pressure, humidity sensors to be measured in. Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's okay. So this, you can see the size of this device which measures you the temperature, humidity, and the pressure inside that tunnel. So this is how the setup would look like. So what we have done is, like, this is the gateway, the node, and we have placed the sensor, exactly the sensor we have placed it here, which has been placed on that wind tunnel. And what we are doing is we are trying to access the real-time data through that sensor which has been placed at that particular point. Now that's what we are trying to do in. So let us look into how exactly we did it. So we go in here. So you can see that we have placed the temperature, humidity, pressure sensors there, and this is where we are able to receive the real-time data. So you can see 1545, the humidity. We have taken a small DHT11 sensor which is being connected to that. So at that time, it is able to measure the corresponding humidity and pressure. I think we can call up sir and just turn on the machine also. At that time, what would be the humidity and pressure, we can just check in. So at the same time, we can see that UBI boards also. Now here, you can see that this is a location where exactly your sensor is being placed. It is showing the name of the, Acharya College, right? This is where we have our college, correct? Correct, na? So let me again zoom in. Okay, now it's displaying the name of the college also. So where exactly you have placed the sensor without your GPS, GIS or ZigBee models, you'll be able to find the location of it, and on real the corresponding humidity as well as pressure, right? So basically, you have seen the size of the device. Like Arduino's, you get it somewhere around 450, okay, and if it is an Italian made, some 1,000 rupees, and DHT sensor, right? So somewhere around 70 bucks. So and then you can have a gateway, but it's a normal gateway which you can build your project. But if you're looking it for an industrial grade, the gateway would require something called as LoRa standards and the transmitter and a receiver. So why this is important is, like, if there is no radiation patterns available, LoRa gateways there are of different kinds which can go up to a range of somewhere around 30 kilometers. Okay, in villages we are able to send signals and receive the data in a range of 30 kilometers. So till that range, your RF signals can be transmitted and then it can be received in. They have turned it on. Okay, so let's see, will there be any changes in the temperature, humidity and pressure? So I'll just check here. So I think even though the wind is blowing at different speed, they are varying the speed also. Speed of wind flow. I think that would be the normal ideal temperature which it has been receiving in. So there's one more sensor which we call it as DHT22. Please make a note of it. Now it also has a 3-pin only. After the session, if anyone wants to see that setup with the gateway and the node, you can visit that. Okay, and anyone, how many of you want to see that? We can go after the session. Okay, we'll go there and we can see that session and come. That setup and come. It'll take hardly 30 minutes to set up that entire thing, not to visit. So it, there is something called as DHT22. The same sensor can be replaced, and if you put DHT22 there, the same source code, you can measure temperature, humidity as well as pressure. You saw that big device, right? When you vary, it was showing you different values, what sir was explaining in. It also measures the same 3 different parameters. Instead of that, I showed you a small device which is so miniature, and Arduino boards even these days, like my cousin, he is working, he is in somewhere around 9th standard, and he is studying Raspberry Pi. I started using Raspberry Pi when I started working in, but these days students are studying Raspberry Pi, they are 9th standard, so he is not even 10th. So I think that's it. We are able to measure real-time data. Yeah, so that's where you can see the humidity. I think there is small change in the humidity. You can see the humidity has increased somewhere around 50, and the temperature, it's nominal. You kept the shutter open. If you close that shutter again, this parameter also would vary. So you can see that on real time, we are blowing the wind into that wind tunnel. So that's where your data is also varying in real time. Okay, so this is one of the, now you can see it is going up to somewhere around, has increased to 51. Okay, so any doubts or any clarifications in this? So with that LoRa kit, you get somewhere around 6 to 7 sensors. Okay, so if anyone wants to know more about it, we can have a discussion more on that. Now can you see what has happened to the temperature? here your humidity has increased, and it was previously the temperature was somewhere around 24. This has come down to somewhere around 23. I still remember one of the student wanted to increase the temperature. What he did was a solder gun and he placed it on the DHT11. Okay, don't try that. Okay, because that's not the way you'll be varying the temperature. Okay, so it can be possible when you are using TMP36. Okay, so that sensor can withstand your solder gun, but not your DHT11. Hmm. Okay. Temperature is somewhere around 23 and humidity is somewhere around 50. Okay. I think there is no change. Okay. Okay. So I'm able to get the real-time feed also. So this is your real-time feed where exactly we have placed the temperature. There is an aeroplane which I just showed you. On that you can see a small light here. That's your DHT11. So we are able to get that real-time feed. So we are getting the real-time feed. We have a camera which has been placed there. Okay. So similar kind of setup, like you can see it in HAL. Okay, so there they test the real-time uh, flight modulation. So the wings of the aeroplanes have been tested there. So similar kind of setup, but it's like a dome. It's a circular dome. Okay, and at high pressure they bombard it with air, and there are cameras. Like we cannot use this Logitech camera there. So there are different cameras which are available. So you might have heard of a company called as FICO. So they use that particular software for electromagnetic radiation details. So this is the setup which we did in today by afternoon, and I think there's no change with the, yeah, now the temperature has gone, humidity has gone up to 51, right? So they have inserted smoke, right? So you can see that the humidity has gone up to 51. So instead of this, you can replace it by different kinds of sensor and measure in terms of real time. Clear? So that's not it for the day. This is what I just prepared half an hour back. So we have something called as I think they can turn it off now. We are done. Yeah. So what we did was like a real time attendance, like how many people are here, how many sessions you have attended in, right? So if you want to do that, what we did was like we are writing the data into cloud. Okay, so first thing, initially what I do is I set a counter, that means number of participants. Today there was a camera which was placed, okay, which was counting the number of people who are moving in, moving out. So initially we said that the counter is 0, okay, and nothing was displayed there because I did not wanted people to know about it. So the count was 0, and it initially says I am show is equal to 0. And then what we did was like initial number and the last date, today's date. I want to read the data. Like if I want to write the data into ThinkSpeak and you want to use MATLAB, the command is very simple: ThinkSpeak write and ThinkSpeak read. So these are the things. So what I have is I have ThinkSpeak read, and this is read means like there is already a data in the cloud. I want to receive that particular data, and to receive that there will be something called as read key. Okay, I'll come to this in a while. So there is something called as read key. So from cloud, if I want to read the data, there will be a key. So this is how the key would look like. So that is the key value which I mentioned here. Once this has been done, okay, so what I have to do is I have to initialize the object. I have something called as a webcam. This is a webcam which I have placed here. So I've connected that webcam to my laptop. The webcam is C170, and I have mentioned the resolution also. It should be somewhere around 640 into 480. And I'll be using a inbuilt function which is called as phase. I'm passing a variable, and this is your system object. We call it as vision cascade object detector. So basically, this is the uh, system object which you use, and you might have heard about functions, right? So this is the system object which I invoke, which captures the real-time face. It can be used to capture your real-time eyes also, right? So eyes, nose, or whatever. So such kind of things we can use this particular vision cascade detector. Maximum size you mentioned, say I want the size to be in this particular value, and find the faces by default. So what I'm doing is I'm using a tracker. We call it as multi-object tracker, which we also called as multi-object tracker KLT, and it tracks the things. Once this has been done, what I want is like get the frame size, take a snapshot of it, and frame size I want it, so I'll say identify the size of the frame. And once this has been done, create a video player. So basically it will create a video player where it is capturing the real-time images there, and at the same time the position associated to this. Why this position is, I am creating a timer there. So in the timer, what does it says is, like at every 5, after every 5 I want there should be a lucky winner who is out there. If I want to do such kind of things, I have created a timer for it, and then it should display that something called as, it has to do iterations successfully, and it has to display the corresponding details. Like, can show you I have created a bounding box to this, and it should say new phase, and it should tell that particular person is lucky. So then clean up the entire thing. Now this is for reading the data from the cloud. How does the data from the your camera go to the cloud? That would be the question which you should ask me, but you are not asking me. I agree, it's the last session. So if that is the case, I have already a function here which is written. So you can see I have said what? ThingSpeak data, that's your tracker. That's the channel ID. And here, this is the write key. Okay, so when I run that particular program, it's writing the data into the same channel which I have mentioned in, okay, by some 23 lines of a function. So, and inside the folder, I will be having, so when you get the folder, see into that, there will be something called as multi-object tracker KLT.m. This is a function, program which is out there. Now you can see it has captured a real-time image there. Now what does this mean is, I'll show you the live feed, how exactly it looks like. Then we'll go into the cloud. You can see it has identified somewhere around 140 people. I think I'm the 140th. So you can see it is capturing the data in real time. I think any of the students can come here. I think it will not be visible till that end. Okay, it's able to capture. So it's 144. Again, I'll cut it. Okay, so you can see it says you are, I'll shift it here. You can see after some time it will say you are lucky. Did it show? Because I'm not able to see it parallelly. Yes? See here. Right? So, who wants to check it? We can display it later once again. Now let me just come back to your cloud here. So this is the channel which we were checking in. So this is the channel. I have the channel ID. Okay. So let me just go back. So whenever I am creating a channel, so yesterday night I have created this particular channel for this workshop. So it is your AIT workshop, temperature monitoring, whatever you want, you can do that. So you go here, create a channel. Now you can see like you can link it, do the analysis, like MATLAB analysis you can do. You have plugins like you can create a Twitter, you can create a callbacks. Now I'll come down to that in a while. So if I go into this AIT workshop, you can see this is how it looks like. So from 3:30, it had started counting from, we can capture the entire graph. So you can see it is capturing somewhere around 90, at 150 it was able to, like during the break it has captured more number of faces, and somewhere around at 4 or 355 4, so it is captured somewhere around 150 faces. Okay, it is happening in real time continuously from morning. So at the same time, it is also giving you the real time status of it. Now I can zoom it and check in, but let's go and check what are the different things which you can do in. So there are different plugins which you can do in. So you can go and create a different plugins associated to it. Like you want to put this data into your college website. Like you can link that data into your HTML page. You can do that, or there is a JavaScript. Basically, if you want to put it on your what is called as your app, you can do that. Followed by that, if I go into something called as uh, think tweet. Okay, so I have created a time control, like I have linked it into my Twitter account. Okay, so this workshop, like if the number of participants goes, I mean, if it has captured 50 faces, okay, so you have to send me a Twitter message, right? So I can link that here. Okay, I can go here and click on link Twitter account, and I mean, it's saying protected. Okay, I think it's blocked here. Okay, so you can link it into your Twitter account. Followed by that, you can do something called as time control also. So say for example, in your home, you have connected an IoT to a water geyser, and by mistake, in a hurry in the morning, you have forgotten to turn off the device, right? So if the temperature goes to certain level and it is continuously on for say 30 minutes, a Twitter message will come down to your mobile phone stating that you have not switched off the geyser. So that can be done here using your time control, and then you revert back with a message that particular geyser would be turned off. Okay, such kind of things can be done here, which you can try out in your projects also. And then this is your reaction, like one is for the time control, and you can create something called as your reaction also associated to that. Finally, there is something called as talkback. Okay, so such kind of examples, and there is already something called as, you have seen your Alexa. So such kind of similar kind of applications with respect to talkback also can be created in. So any doubts in this? This whatever I have covered till now. I have created few of the videos because if I had to cover that hands-on, it would have taken a lot of time. But I hope the deployment of both the devices would have been possible. Now, as I was mentioning, in LoRa gateways can be indoor or outdoor. We have dual channel LoRa also. This is for outdoor. That's your LoRa wireless, where you have GPS shield available on it. Then we have Raspberry Pi based also. Someone was asking, like, if I want a Raspberry Pi, we'll give you Raspberry Pi based also. Followed by that, we have something called as LoRa sensor node, which is waterproof also. Like I was showing you a PPT where we talked about underwater communication, right? So if you're developing such kind of projects, like this is one of the area from the point of, yes, ma'am. So from the point of faculty, if you're writing some research proposal, see into that underwater communication, DRDO is funding a lot. Okay, so throughout the year you can write proposals and submit it. If you go to your website, you see the details there. So underwater communication is one of the area which you can focus in, and the device obviously I have shown you, like with the sensor, everything I have shown you. So this is the sensor which you can use in, or it might be underwater communication. So water drones we call it, or water underwater boats we call it. So such kind of things also can be designed with this. Then we have something called as IO connectors. Basically this is for IO controllers, this is for monitoring, and this is also having a GPS sensor. Now this is widely used on this electric vehicles. So we are associated with Mobilio within 4 months of our company. So Mobilicity, I think within next 3 months they'll be coming up with 4 new electric vehicles in Bangalore. So this is from one of the founder of Infosys. Sun has found out this company. The company is in JP Nagar. Most of you are from aerospace and mechanical engineering, so you can visit that particular office there, where you have to take a prior permission, but they give internships also. And for the faculty, they allow you to use their, say for example, if I want to take a thermal camera, it costs you 15 lakh rupees. And I want to use that to measure the heat or say I'm working with something called as motors. I want to measure which part of the motor is getting heated up. If I want to measure that, I'll be using that camera. The cost of the camera would be somewhere around 15 lakh rupees, which we cannot afford in, but you can go to that particular place and you can use that. Or there are controllers, like you have to control a BLDC motor, for example, right? Such kind of devices are not there in the college. You can go there and you can, but conditions apply. You may have to take a letter, a reference letter from your HOD, and then go to that particular place. So these are few of the projects which we are parallelly working with, and the modulation schemes are basically your FSK, and we use CRIP spread spectrum to increase the communication range, and basically this is used for military and space communication. Last day there was a query, like if I'm able to identify the location of an aeroplane, right? So to get that, we have to have the CRIP standards, and this requires permission to work in that particular frequency range. Now the key parameters are spreading frequency, frequency range, and bandwidth, and other technical specifications. This is one of the thing. So technical specifications are these. The bandwidth is somewhere around 50 hertz to 125 kilohertz. In that frequency bandwidth we'll be working with, and the efficiency is very high. That's one of the thing. And we also have something called as your encrypted database, which sees into that the data is transmitted from the cloud to the node, or it might be to your app or to the Twitter, okay, is encrypted. Okay, so that's one other thing which we are able to do in, and this is how the encryption standard we have. So that's your end devices, and that's your gateway. This is the network server and the application. So whenever the data has been transmitted, at every end there is something called as encryption. So whatever that keys which I was talking about, you have seen that size of the key, right? It might be for ThinkSpeak, or it might be for Think Network. So I've shown you both the clouds within 1 hour. Okay, I've shown you how exactly to create the account, where do you get the keys, how to create your own accounts, right? And build what is called as real-time IoT applications. So this is my mail ID. You can contact me. That's my LinkedIn profile. So if there is any queries associated to any of the domain, except chemistry and physics, rest of the things you can inquire. We have people, we have contact where we can connect you people around. I hope I winded up my session exactly in time, today at least. So any queries or any doubts in these 2 demonstrations which we did in? Anyone wants to check the camera based IoT? If you want, you can come. Please come, yes. We'll put it in duplicate mode. Okay. Okay, I think they are not able to see it. One, it's connected, Okay. So 152, you can see there. Again, you can turn your face. 153. Okay, again turn and turn back. 154, one more time. So it says you're lucky there. You can see that. So on real time, you've checked the numbers, right? So let us go and check it in the channel also. So if this system comes and gets implemented in the colleges, I think bunking the classes would be very difficult. And proxies, absolutely not possible. Yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you for your patience hearing. I hope I have not wasted your time. That's it. And it was wonderful. Thank you for the hospitality from last 2 days or last 15 days. We are rigorously working on all these projects. Thank you, sir, for providing this opportunity. And I thank the entire team for the wonderful hospitality here, including all the faculties of aerospace and principal also. So at the same time, whatever you have learned from this particular workshop, try to work on those areas. I hope some new projects and new concepts and new startups would come out of these things. I've given you a lot of ideas with respect to the IoT, how you can build in and build real-time applications out of it. Thank you from my side, and Ajimas. Thank you for one and all. Yeah.
Uh, Thank you, sir, for an amazing session, especially with the technology demonstration. I think you had kept our audience engaged, and I'm pretty sure most of them being the students, they would be able to take up a lot of projects concerning to the same. I now request Dr. S.K. Marana, Symposium Chairman, to hand over memento to Dr. Pramod Nayak as a token of our appreciation.
I have something to share with everybody about here. Dr. Pramod has made our imagination a reality. So we'll remain inseparable all the time. Sure. And I am connected with him for the last 4 years. 4 years. I don't know how many years I'll be getting connected. So thank you so much for making our day so beautiful. The toughest job for him was transmitting the signals from lab to this place. That exercise came. That exercise was actually conceived so fast. The 11th hour, we thought of doing something which the delegates will appreciate. The talks that are going on right now will continue for tomorrow as well. They are all big pictures. You are all seeing big pictures, but at hand we have not seen what is IoT. So he made our day successful. Thank you so much, and I appreciate for your hard work. He has made multiple visits. I do not know how many times she must have called him to get this done. I don't have any words to express. You are always Pramod, Santosh, all the time. He's happy, so Pramod, no? So that way, I love the way you do the things. Thank you so much again. And it will not we are not going to evaluate you, or there are a lot of feedback. So please keep giving us the same help that you are doing. Miles to go. Now we are going to do a lot of things. Another surprising thing is coming in next 6 months. So I'll disclose after some days. Not now.